This was me in 2019, and my life was about to change. For the next 3 months, I was about to have the most transformative experience of my life. An experience that would allow me to find my confidence, change my life trajectory, and discover who I really am. So in this video, I wanted to talk about that experience, why it had such a profound impact on me, and how anyone can get out there and find their true confidence. Stay tuned. Just as a quick side note, this is the second video of this style where I don't have a script. I just have a bunch of points that I want to talk about, and I discuss things in a more open and honest and less edited way. So I hope you enjoy. I did get a lot of positive feedback on the last one, so let's hope this one does well as well. So before I talk about the actual experience, I think it's important to kind of set the scene about where I was before I went out there. So like a lot of people, I went through some things as I was growing up, and it left a really profound impact on me. I had a lot of insecurities and anxieties, and they mostly revolved around who I was as a person. I felt like I wasn't good enough, or people were going to leave me. It was pretty heavy stuff. And despite going to uni and finding some forms of confidence, they weren't meaningful. They weren't true confidence. They were derived from things like going to the gym and being able to talk to girls or go on a night out with the lads. They weren't core to who I am. And I think that's the purest form of confidence you can have. True faith in who you are as a person and the impact you can have on the people around you. I think that's where true confidence comes from. And I was lacking this at this time. I wasn't looking to be exceptional. I just wanted to fit in. I didn't have particular ambitions. I just fancied making a bit of money in my future and just seeing where things went. But since going to this experience, all of that has changed. I've managed to find confidence in who I am as a person, know that although I have my difficulties, in my core I'm a good person, and I think that's a really important thing to have. So how did this come about? It was around midway through my first year, and I was talking to one of my friends. I was looking to have an experience, not just because I wanted to grow, but also to get stuff on my CV. But I wanted to go somewhere, potentially a different country, and experience something completely new. And this is where he came to me with the idea that would forever change everything I did. From going to live in Spain to traveling to Mexico to creating this channel, all of it derived from this experience. And that was Camp America. Camp America is this program where people from different countries can get a temporary visa and go over to America and work in a variety of camps, from boys camps, girls camps, sport camps to underprivileged camps. The one I went to was a special needs one. It was based in Pennsylvania, and it's called Summit Camp. And what a place it is. So let's talk about what camp is. So first, I just want to talk about what the experience is like for anyone interested, but also to set the scene on why it had such a profound impact on me. So Summit Camp, as I said, is a special needs camp. It's primarily revolving around children with autism and or ADHD. And what it essentially is an overnight camp. So they come 1 week, they stay for either 3 or 4 or 2 weeks sometimes, and you're with them all the time. You sleep in a bunk with them, you wake up with them, you go to meals with them, you go to activities, you help them take their medication. It's a very full-on experience. And it's so much fun at times. There's a climbing wall and a lake you get to swim in, and lots of different activities, and it's great fun, but it's also very intense. At times, obviously, they need additional support with things that for us may seem basic, but for them can be very difficult, like waking up in the morning or socializing, or even at meal times, or taking a medication. All of these things can be difficult for them, and you have to be the one to support them with it. And it's a very intense feeling, because I was 19 at the time, and I had never cared for someone like that. I'd had jobs where I had to interact with kids and everything, but not to this extent. And it's a lot. You're essentially kind of become a parent for them. And I remember on one of my first days, the camp director said that it is the most fun but most difficult job you will ever have, and that stands true to this day. And I've had a few jobs since then. So yeah, that's kind of what camp is like. Now, let's talk about why it had such a profound impact on me. So as I said before, I had a lot of anxieties. I was constantly thinking about things that may potentially happen in the future. And there's this theory of anxiety that basically says there's a link between neuroticism, which is a tendency to think of oneself, and anxiety. And it kind of makes sense in my head. If you think about it, when we're anxious, a lot of the time we're thinking about ourselves. We're saying, what does this person think about me? And what's going to happen to me in the future? What did I say wrong to this person? What are they going to think of me in this situation? All these things that are going on in your head, they all revolve around yourself. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's necessarily an egotistical point of view, but I think it is the foundation of anxiety. So when I went to this camp, before I got there, a lot of my thinking was to do with judgment from other people if they think I'm good enough. However, at camp, because it's such an intense experience, you simply don't have time for it. You're worrying so much about these kids and what you've got next and how you can support them and how you can make their day better for them, and about supporting the people around you and working as a team, that I just didn't have time to worry about these things that don't really matter. If you have a camper who is having a very intense moment and they're getting overwhelmed and they're not sure how to express themselves, and sometimes it would even be borderline violent, in those moments you're not thinking about what other people think about you. You're thinking about, how can I help this situation? How can I help this camper? And that is incredibly important. There is so much value in working for something outside of yourself, focusing on something outside of you. And that, I think, is the key to reducing your anxiety. Forget yourself, forget about what other people think about you, and just put your focus on something else. And I'm saying it like it's a simple process. It's most certainly not. But this was the key to reducing my anxiety. To be thinking of someone else and not to be concerned about what other people thought about me, or what's going to happen when I get home, or what's going on in the world, or what's happening in this political party. None of it mattered while you're at camp. You're in this bubble where all of your purpose is to support these kids. And it's intense and it's stressful, and when things go wrong, it feels like it's your fault. But at the end of it, I was like, wow, I've just had 3 months without thinking about what other people think about me, or what's going to happen in my future, or how much I'm getting paid for this. Because, by the way, the pay is not great, just to let you know now. And it was transformative. It was a detox from the kind of thinking that I was used to, the kind of thinking that was so incredibly draining. You know, it takes a lot of energy to be worried about what other people think about all the time. You know, I have enough of my own thoughts, let alone what's going on inside someone else's head. So that is one of the main benefits I got from going to camp. And the second one was simply doing something that was really hard. This work is so intense, and if you want to make a real difference in these kids' lives, you have to put your all into it. You have to constantly be aware. You have to constantly act like you have energy. You have to be there for the kids, but set your boundaries at the same time. You also have to work in a team with people you don't even know from all around the world who have their own way of thinking about things. It's a very difficult and emotionally and physically draining experience. Like, can you imagine being with the same people 24/7 with 1 day off a week and 1 hour off a day? That's a lot in of itself. And you're also trapped in this environment where things do get repetitive, and the campers start to notice that, and then they act out, and you have to deal with that. And at the age of 19, when I hadn't really had much experience with this, it was a lot, and it was very difficult. But the fact that I was able to get through it gave me so much confidence. So much confidence. And not the same type of confidence that you get from going to the gym, or from being able to talk to girls, or being able to make a group of people laugh. It is confidence in yourself as a person, knowing that you can really dig deep when you need to. You can push through stressful times. You can call your mum 4 times a week saying you want to go home, but resist that urge, because you know you can make a difference in these kids' lives, which happened, by the way. The first 2 weeks, I wanted to go home constantly, but I made it through. That confidence you get remains core to you. And of course, I still have insecurities. Of course, I still worry about things and what people think about me, but I know in my core that's who I am. Someone that can push through these difficult times in order to help someone else. And it makes all of these other worries just way less important. And it's just such a powerful experience. Such a powerful experience. And I've I regress sometimes, and sometimes I don't feel good, and sometimes I don't feel confident in myself, but I always have that to look back to. The fact that I was able to put so much effort in for such a long time to help someone who needed it. And yeah, it was a combination of those things, reducing that anxiety and increasing the confidence in myself as a person, that had such a profound impact, and I truly have never looked back. So you may be thinking, is this what you're trying to do? Is this what you're trying to sell to us to go to summer camp? Not necessarily. I am going to talk about some other ways we can improve our self-confidence by doing these things, by doing difficult things, but also working for something outside of us. So doing difficult things is this very generic piece of advice that a lot of people give these days. It's this stoic belief that if you can put your all into something and be successful, it will give you confidence. And I have no doubt about that. The gym did do that for me. But I think if you want to have belief in yourself, in the core, as being a good person, I think working for something bigger than yourself is necessary. I think going to the gym will build your confidence in some aspects, definitely in your body and in your belief with your discipline. But I think working for someone else is almost undeniable proof that you are, in some sense, a good person. And I think believing that you're a good person is powerful. And I don't think a lot of people seem to focus on that so much. This idea that you should be a good person. If I feel like if someone's in a position in which they can help someone else, they should do it. And that you don't have to. And I'm not saying all of our life should revolve around charity, but at least one experience of putting your all into helping someone else, it can have a really transformative experience. So how can we do that? Well, of course, there's things like charities, and this is really, really good way to do it, because there are so many different amazing charities helping people who need help. You can go work for some mental health services. I volunteered at a Nightline call center where people just call in, and if they're having a tough day or if they're feeling a bit worried about walking home at night, you can just chat to them. And that was a really fun experience. I don't know if fun is the right word, but really rewarding experience. That's probably a little bit better. I did have some nice chats with people actually who were just a bit drunk and, wanted to chat to someone. But anyway, so there's charities, there's working at food shelters, and really trying to engage with the people you're working with, because in any of these things you can put in the bare minimum, but it's when you put in more effort do you get more reward from it. So there were a lot of people that went to summit camp, for example, and didn't try that hard, and they just kind of had a good time, and that's great for them. But the people who really had a transformative experience were the ones who put in all of that effort, that really dedicated themselves to the cause, and that is essential if you want to truly get something out of it. There's also things like just helping the environment by picking up litter and all this kind of stuff. Although that may give you a lot of time to think about your anxieties, it's not quite an intense experience, but it's definitely positive. And if you can do that consistently, even when you don't feel like it, that's what a good person does. I personally would say working with kids, whether they're underprivileged or special needs, is the most rewarding experience you can have. Not only is it helping someone who needs help, but it's also very intense. Kids are a lot, and matching that energy and being able to have fun whilst also maintaining barriers, whilst also trying to teach them life lessons, but understanding you're not a parent. There's a lot of layers to that kind of work, and you learn a lot about people, about understanding how people kind of come about and get to where they are. So I would definitely recommend working with kids. Whether it's volunteering at a local school for an after-school club, whether it's going to a summer camp, which this whole video seems like an advert for, so I do apologize. But it's just me venting about how powerful of an experience it was. I've been back there 3 times since then, and it truly is the second home for me. It is the end of summer, so maybe you've missed the boat on that one. But next summer, you know, you got time to apply now. So, yeah, I just think volunteering or working without the reward in mind, where all of your energy is on the process of working, whether it's even creating your own business where the business becomes your focus. You're not worried about you as a director or a business person. You're worried about the business, and all your energy is on that, and it's for a good cause. That can be a really transformative experience, because what's important is no longer you. You know, in a weird way, I found my confidence by not worrying about myself. By worrying about something else outside of me is how... I mean, it sounds really simple, but by worrying about something outside of me, I stopped worrying about myself, because there's only so many things you can worry about. And the more intense the fear, or not the fear, the stress of this experience, the less intense feelings you're going to have of yourself. And that's kind of a skill you can take into other things. You know, now I try and focus all my energy on this kind of stuff, on making these videos or on my work, because if I lay there and sit in bed, I just think about all the things that can go wrong in my life, and that's not the healthiest practice. So yeah, that was the impact of camp and different ways in which you can have a similar impact. I hope you enjoyed the waffling. I'm not really sure how this one went. This is very intense and there's long recordings, and I'm sweating because I've got 2 lights coming at me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, please leave me some feedback if you enjoy this kind of style. I certainly enjoy recording it. And again, I'm sure I'm going to look back and wish I'd said different things, or wish I'd said things in a different manner, but can't make a perfect video. So I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe if you did, and leave a comment if you're interested in working at camp. I'm more than happy to respond and give you some more information if I didn't waffle enough already. Just here you can check out another one of my videos talking about confidence and self-esteem. I made it a while ago, but I definitely think it holds true. And aside from that, have a lovely day. Bye-bye.